Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bruce McDonald, and this is the Talamanca Review. Just got out of the shower, and I shaved my beard. Nobody liked it. I just liked not shaving, but I suppose, at the end of the day, prefer to be clean shaven. So it's Monday, the 26th of January, and it's 8:45 p.m. I want to say thank you to the people who've bought books. It's been a really good month for books. I want to say thank you. I hope you get something out of the books. I think everybody I've chosen to put into paper format who was a renowned orator in these murky waters in which we all swim deserves to be read, deserves to be cleaned up and organized and presented as a thesis. And it's done now. It's done with Jordan Maxwell. It's done with Alan Watts. It's done with Alan Watt. It's done with the Blackbird Talmud. And don't forget to throw up a review on any book you read. Still, my highest recommendation in the canon of books is, in fact, the work of literary fiction, The Stolen Child. It's a gripping tale. In a properly functioning world, it would have been a movie 10 years ago. But alas, I have not gained access to the great stage of the world. Probably some measure of mercy on the part of the guardians who guide and help me unfold, because that's a soul crushing world. But I love to write, I love to tell these stories, I love to produce books. It's very, I don't know how to describe it. It's one of those things I do where when I do it, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm completely immersed in it. It becomes the moment for me. And that's a secret truth about creativity and why everybody should have something creative in their life. I have friends who can have mystical experiences or multi-dimensional experiences. I have to be careful with my language. Uh, Gardening, just because gardening stills their mind so much. And many people are like this. Not all meditation is formally sitting down in a lotus or half lotus position. It's all about getting into the moment and releasing yourself from all of the worry bubbles that populate a day. Had some big bills today. I bought all the doors for the house, the 3 exterior doors and the 6 interior doors, 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. All the doorknobs, all the hinges, all that stuff. I bought I bought the drop ceiling. Boy, this house is really coming along. It's very good feeling. hmm I don't know where in the world you could build a home for 50,000 Canadian, 1,000 square foot home, 2,000 square feet with balcony. It's a wraparound balcony on the 2 long sides of the house and one of the short sides. And the balcony comes out about 10 feet, so you can put rocking chairs and sofas and hammocks and all that stuff. I feel very blessed to be able to do things. I feel very blessed to be able to build things. I feel very blessed to be able to publish books. to take care of a family, to build a second house. I feel very blessed. I mean, gracias a Dios, thanks be to God, you know. And I probably hold back a little bit in this regard because I know most of my Canadian, American, and Australian friends who form the bulk of my listenership are going through a different kind of time in those countries. And so I don't want to make people feel bad, you know. But at the same time, I'm not going to completely deny my own joy, right? So tonight, I want to talk about uh, one of the oldest talking points in theology, which was kicked off again today by Cliff High, one of his posts. I have the highest respect for Cliff. I really like the way his perception works and the way he produces information for us to consume. It's so fantastical, and so much of it is well within the realm of plausibility. It's a tremendous stimulation to the imagination. And it's very important to stimulate the imagination. The imagination requires fertilizer. I suppose that's why I continued to read comic books even into my early 20s, schlepping myself down to the Silver Snail comic shop on Queen Street West by streetcar on Saturdays to blow 20 or 30 bucks on comic books, going home and reading comic books all day. Seems a bit stupid for a kid at 21 or 22. Certainly no stupider than the video games. My son brought his computer with him, and we bought him a new monitor in San Jose, or he bought a new monitor. Nice 27-inch monitor. And he has this like super pimped out computer for gaming. Like you could do AI on it. That's how pimped out it is. Fantastic GPU, 32 gigabytes of RAM, fantastic CPU. And I went in last night and I lay down on the bed and he was at the desk and I had my iPad and was just spending a little silent time together. He was gaming and he showed me one of the new games out, Battlefield 6, I think it's called. And I could not believe the graphics on this. I just could not believe how immersive this gaming world is. And given my tendency to go into these worlds, I'm very thankful that gaming did not really emerge in my generation. Otherwise, that would just be another thing to consume 2 or 3 hours a day. But they get online, they get on Discord and they game together, him and his friends all over the United States and Canada. And it's a whole world they go into, you know. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. They like it. So let's begin by reading Cliff's missive today, okay? It's well worth our time. And this was, I think, I somehow missed this, although I'm on Ethernet's, I think whatever Cliff's Substack is called. I'm on the mailing list, but I don't remember getting this. It's called The Dark Hypothesis. And in many ways, it's a sort of amplification of or reinterpretation of the Gnostic Archonic narrative about prison Earth, which is everywhere, by the way. We talk about it in the 1947 chapter, we being myself, And there was uh, allegedly an extraterrestrial captured at Roswell in 47. And she was debriefed, and the woman who had the documents from the interviews, I think her name was Matilda, published the book. I think it's called Alien Interview or something to that effect in like 2012. And it's a very interesting read and also gives a very, very Gnostic interpretation. So this is not a new narrative. There's no doubt that we're here with things that are not human. There's a channel on YouTube I've grown fond of. I think it's called The Modern Taoist. And it's an American Taoist master. And he just goes on these walks through the on trails in the country and parks. And they have a camera and microphone set up. And he walks with a friend of his. I suppose you could say that the friend is an acolyte or a disciple of Taoism. And it was there that the American Taoist master said Taoism was created to fight so humans could fight demons. And so this idea of energetic predation is everywhere. And we have to assume it's true. Okay? We have to assume it's true. I believe it's true. And there are very many interpretations of it. My number one fan does not like talking about the Gnostics. Now, I personally have not given a tremendous amount of time to the Gnostics. I had tremendous battles with oppressive forces in my family and subsequently in my own mind and my own field for decades. I would say that the fight did not fully end until my father passed and I wrote The Devil in Us, which was a very liberating year for me. And what I figured was the monitoring of your thoughts and your internal state is extremely important for self-understanding. And the reason it's important for self-understanding is that 90% of it is not you. 90% of our thoughts are not us. Maybe more. That's staggering to contemplate. That's staggering to realize. And the question then becomes, whose thoughts are they? Well, they largely come from invisible entities. These could be any number of things. And they're generally about hacking your state of mind to put you into a leachable state where you're leaking energy and they can leach energy from you. Human energy is part of an ecosystem, internal human energy, psychic energy, the energy we produce through thoughts and feelings. This is part of an ecosystem that we don't quite understand, right? Most of us can keep it under control. Almost everybody is dealing with it, unless they're an NPC and they have no internal dialogue. And there are people like that. But most people are being fed on, and they don't know it. They just think it's the normal cycle of being human. They just think that this is what being human is, you know? And they never realize it because they never awaken imagination. Awakened imagination is a euphemism for enlightenment, early stage enlightenment, the beginning of realization that the subject object reality is not just your senses and mind in the external world, your senses and mind being the components of your subjectivity, and the external world being the objectivity. The beginning of awakened imagination, a term I created but sort of leveraged off my favorite poets, uh, a little bit of William Blake, a little bit of Wallace Stevens and others, Ted Hughes, and the poets were trying to tell us as well. So, awakened imagination is where you realize that your inner life is not a fortress of solitude. Your thoughts are not private. Your inner reality is not private. We're completely naked. I think this is on the first page of the first chapter of The Devil in Us, that privacy is the biggest joke in the universe. Everything you do is seen by billions of beings. Yeah. And so coming to terms with that reality that we exist in a constant state of interaction in the physical and psychic realms is very humbling, is very chastening. It's an important realization, and it's important to be humbled. It's important to be chastened. It makes you smaller. And the smaller you are inside, the bigger everything else is, and that's the object reality inside you. I have no idea how deep this narrative goes and how much of it is true. I don't know for sure if the reincarnation grid was hacked. It's possible. Some people say it was. Begging the question, why do we reincarnate? Why would any group of beings want to hack the incarnation grid on this planet? Let's begin at the beginning. Let's begin with Cliff. The Dark Hypothesis. Subtitle: Do not read this. You have been warned. The Dark Hypothesis. This is what was rumored to have made President Carter cry. Do not read this. You have been warned. It's called the Dark Hypothesis for a reason. Consider that all the information you have been told about humans and our history is a lie. I don't need to consider that. I already have a strong sense that it's true. I mean, it's so in your face when you think about it. If they can lie to us about what happens on a day-by-day basis, if Charlie Kirk can be shot in broad daylight and we never know what happened, and an official narrative settles in as the pseudo-truth, if we don't really understand what's happening in Minnesota, and both sides are propagandizing about what's going on, if we don't really know what happened in World War II, if we don't really know if the Holocaust and the incineration of 6 million Jews really happened, what do we know? If we can't even get it right when we're here, what chance do you think we have of getting it right historically? Do you think for a moment the historians are left alone to find the truth? Sometimes. One example that comes to mind, there was a 50-year moratorium on the classified information related to Pearl Harbor. And when the moratorium or the classified designation was lifted, the Ivy League universities had first access to the material. Several books were produced, and the unflinching, incontrovertible conclusion was that Pearl Harbor could have been avoided. The 3,000 American lives that were lost could have been saved. The Japanese communication code between the Japanese operatives on Pearl Harbor and Japan, I believe they were using some form of Morse code or shortwave. The transmissions and the code itself had been cracked 6 months before Pearl Harbor, and it was allowed to happen to capitalize on the grief and rage, to catapult the United States into World War II, which would have been won by the Germans and the Japanese and the Italians had the United States not entered the war. An early example of a false flag. So that's one example of historians being allowed to do their jobs, but 90% of the time they are not. They are as bound by the rules of non-disclosure as the journalists working today. So we don't have truth in the past, and we don't have truth in the present. Why would you believe anything in the past is true? Sometimes things can be very well researched and a picture can be painted that presents a modicum of reality. One such example that comes to mind is Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, which he heavily researched, and it is an accurate portrayal of the level of violence and depravity along the Texas-Mexico border in 1855. But for the most part, everything is a lie. We're fed information as human beings the way cats are fed cat treats or dogs are fed dog treats. We're treated like animals. We're treated like livestock. But I don't need to believe in archons to accept that reality. There's one class of human being doing it to another class of human being. The leader class, the elite class. No, I don't occupy myself with these things that much. They're fun to talk about on a podcast. But my life is focused on the blessings I've been given and the ongoing awakening of my consciousness to full self-realization, which I consider to be the greatest gift a human being can be given, which is meaningful practice, meaningful, dutiful practice on the job of discovering self, which is the same as discovering God, because self and true self and God are the same substance at the level of consciousness. So it doesn't matter to me that much that all these lies go on. It bothers me a bit, you know. I mean, I do follow the world. I know that at the incarnation pattern, for the most part, we all get to try different roles. So you're the oppressed one lifetime, another lifetime, you're the oppressor. It's a big merry-go-round until you get off it. History is a lie, Cliff wants us to believe. We don't need to believe that on the Talamanca Review, do we? We know that. So let's keep going with Cliff. That even the lies told about it are built upon a greater lie. That it's all lies all the way down. We know this to be true. There is no rational explanation for officialdom and its views of anything, especially human history and origins. My son just came in. Can you make some more coffee? Thank you.
You just sit here and wait till
I'm
it goes.
podcasting.
Oh, is it live?
Well, I'm recording it, but
Yeah.
all this is, I'm not going to edit this out.
I'm in it.
You're in it now.
Hey, folks, how you doing? Brandon McDonald, son of Bruce McDonald here. You're live from the Talamanca Mountains. Live long and prosper.
All right. Don't make it too strong. Nighttime coffee's a bit weaker.
Gangs here. They want to stay.
PDN, so?
Both of them.
Okay, let them stay. I'm surrounded by love up here, which is a blessing. And really the first time in my life. So it's a double blessing. So Cliff's dead on, man. I don't find him cynical at all. I find him very bold in his perception. Just balls out all the time, pedal to the metal. I love Cliff, man. He's a scrapper. And he just tells it like it is. Not always right, but who amongst us are? None of us. Okay. This extends to all the religions. Yeah, I think all of the religions are inventions. Absolutely, they're control mechanisms. I've spoken about this. Now, it doesn't mean that everything in them is false. There's actually a lot of good information. The point is that you have to corroborate it with the internal work. And I don't think prayer is going to do the whole thing, because prayer doesn't produce revelations. Silence and shutting down the senses without sleeping, or lucid dreaming if you're capable of that, brings about revelation. And revelation is much more important than calculation. And all of our information is calculated now. And calculation is a contract with death. Revelation is a contract with life, and life eternal. Revelation is infinitely more important than calculation. If the rabbis understood this, they'd throw their Kabbalah into the fire. But they don't. Everything's a lie, folks. And not only lies, calculated lies to direct us, to harvest our energy collectively, to push society in certain directions. Now, you tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I am. I don't think the average human being gives a shit about going into space. I think it's nonsense. Everything about space is physically going into space, contemplatively, meditatively going into space. You don't really go into space per se. You generally pop out somewhere where there's something going on, another planet, another dimension, another universe sometimes. There's no end to what the still consciousness can do. And it depends where that which is guiding you wants to take you. And that which is guiding you is predicated on your vibrational field. If it's positive, you're going to have positive guides. If it's negative, you're going to have negative guides. Minus the guides assigned to you for the incarnation. So there have been some doozy lies. Evolution is one. Huge lie. And you get all these pseudo-intelligent people in the public space now. You know, Brett Weinstein, evolutionary biologist. Nothing evolves here. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to steal Cliff's thunder. He gets into this as well. We know this is true because we have evidence in front of our eyes that there have been previous civilizations here on Earth that were far more advanced than we are even now. We can't replicate so much of the technology of the past. The granite statuary, the melted rocks, and even out into the megalithic structures, which humans could not have built without very advanced technology, which we do not have even today. We know that our history, even recent history, is a lie prepared for us. We were even still destroying the grand global civilization that was Tartaria in World War II. That's what the firebombing of the city of Dresden was about. the destruction of the last completely Tartarian city in Germany. More lies, more cover-ups. It's all lies, all the way down. There were no cavemen. There is no human evolution on Earth. In fact, no animal has naturally evolved. It's all a lie. Who built the global pyramid network, of which Giza is but a single node? It was surely not Jews enslaved to skirt-wearing kings of Egypt who constructed a vast global network of giant pyramids. Who built all the structures on the bottom of the oceans? Who built the structures easily visible on the moon with a 10-inch telescope? Humans are an engineered species. While this is a part of the dark hypothesis, it is only the base of it. Why were there orphan trains in the USA and across Europe? Where were all the birthing hospitals and the millions of mothers producing those children? Why do ancient ruins have more habitation available then than now? There have been at least 6 ancient civilizations on this planet that precede modern humans. These are all civilizations that go back further than perhaps 100,000 years or more. The dark hypothesis is that none of those civilizations arose or died naturally. The dark hypothesis is that humans, all humans, are the descendants of laboratory-created progenitors. In other words, all humans are the children of clones. We have proof in our DNA that we are engineered. The dark hypothesis explains it. The dark hypothesis explains all religions and why they all deliberately lied about their origin stories and their history. The dark hypothesis explains all the gods in humanity's past. The hypothesis states that each civilization was created by the offspring of clones, fostered and allowed to rise and flourish. Then, upon reaching conditions which are not known to us, each of these civilizations was then destroyed, in that the humanity was killed, while their objects were allowed to remain. This accounts for the cycles of destruction that we observe in the long-buried past. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is Soul gone? Oh, no. I got everybody here. Okay, we're good. Thank you. No, that's fine. They're fine. They like hanging out with me. Can you see them? I don't know. There's baby boy there. There's Petey. Hi, buddy. They're so cute when they're small. The American Staffordshire Terrier. The female is emerging as the pack leader, and she's only about 80% pit bull and smaller. But she's just the smartest, and she knows that if some order is not brought to these things, these guys, they're all in deep doo-doo. So she's just taking the lead, and she's keeping everybody in line. This accounts for the cycles of destruction that we observe in the long-buried past. These cycles exist, but are not natural. Yes, there are many details left out of this discussion, such as that many of the humans would have been abducted prior to the engineered cataclysms, of which we find so much evidence that were used to destroy their civilization. There was a need for a small number of humans from each civilization to act as seeds for the narrative to be soon presented. Then another batch of lab-created humans were put on Earth. They had the benefit of the abducted humans acting as guides. Presumably, the minds of the abducted humans were controlled to support the desired narrative. For whatever goal or purpose, humans are placed here. The dark hypothesis is that we are lab rats in a designed experiment, and that we are number 7 in this current series. This explains why our history is replete with examples of modern humans in a state of primitive horse and cart technology. Among the ruins of buildings we could not, and even now cannot, construct. That's why we stand in awe of the ancients, and what our science and officialdom claims to have been done with hammer and chisel. These previous 6 civilizations still have remnants that can be seen. All the out-of-place artifacts across thousands of years are explained by the dark hypothesis. All of the history glitches and errors, such as being investigated by Fomenko and others, are explained by the dark hypothesis. The dark hypothesis also explains all the UFOs and such other paranormal experiences that humans may have. They are in some way mostly unknown to us, the result of the actions of the agency, intelligence, that is conducting this experiment in which humanity is the subject. The dark hypothesis explains all this and more. It is kept locked in a vault in the Pentagon, apparently taken out on occasion to frighten presidents into compliance with whatever power is actually in charge of this layer, of this experiment in which we all live. The dark hypothesis explains Three-Eye Atlas. It explains stuff on other planets, such as Mars. The dark hypothesis provides far more questions with each layer of explanation. The dark hypothesis should keep the humans busy for some extended period of time. And that's it. That's what Cliff had to say. And he warned us not to read it. Not only did I not heed that warning, I read it to you. Now, why do I not find it depressing? Why do I not give a shit? Why do I even consider this to be trivial information? And it is trivial information. The first time you hear it, no. But this is not the first time I've heard this. This is not the first time I've dealt with this. And I've had long, long conversations with people who completely understand this. And the human being I knew who understood it best was John Edmonds. For reasons that should be obvious. John went so far as to say that the earth is a hothouse. The way we build a hothouse is a greenhouse. You know that movie Oblivion with not Oblivion, but Minority Report with Tom Cruise? When he goes to see the person in charge of everything, she's in the greenhouse. Very symbolic. But human beings are what John Edmonds was telling me is that we are absolutely experimental species. But here's why it doesn't depress me. You're not this species. You're not this human form. You're wearing it now like a suit, but it's not you. This is why I think that religions which tell us how to live are overt control systems or subversive control systems if you don't see through them. They're nonsense. The Vatican is nonsense. The rabbis are nonsense. The imams are nonsense. Your only job is to realize what you are. And I'll give you a hint. I can't tell you what you are because you have to get it yourself. It's an initiatic process. Remember the example I always give when trying to explain what an initiatic process is like? The 14-year-old brother cannot explain to the 8-year-old brother what puberty is like. The transformation is so intense and it's chemical, changes consciousness perception. The desire base of the consciousness completely changes. Your body changes. You start waking up with erections every morning because you're sexually active. All of the sexual chemistry has come into play in your biology. How do you possibly explain that to an 8-year-old? You can't. You wait for them to go through the experience, and that's the only way they can understand it. And that's the principle of initiatic experience. There are many forms of initiation on the planet. The secret societies have them. Many of them are psychic initiations, highly energetic. Many of them are very intense. It's rumored that when you get the 33rd initiation in Masonry, it's not uncommon for the initiate's hair to go completely gray overnight, the day of the initiation. So you get your initiation, you go home, you go to sleep, you wake up, your hair's all white. You ever notice how many prematurely Richard Gere gray-haired men there are in courts, lawyers and judges? It's a secret society. They can't really share with us what they know because it would be like puberty. They can't really explain it. And it's also true with spiritual initiation. It's even more true for spiritual initiation, which is the initiation into the process which will eventually reveal you to be soul, reveal you to be a particulate of the divine itself. So who cares who made these bodies? I had a great dinner. My son's here. I got 3 great pit bulls. Well, one's only 80%. I got another cat about to have birth. My wife's gone to bed. My house is almost done. I love this life. And every day I practice and practice and practice to understand the depth of my own being. And I have come to understand that I'm not this body. That doesn't mean I hate being Bruce McDonald. I kind of enjoy it. You should imbue everything with love and being and presence. But the dark hypothesis is real. Get over it. Get over it. I don't know what the experiment is. I'll tell you what I think it is. They're trying to accelerate the process of contacting the creator. They're using us as guinea pigs to go into inner space and find the creator. And they're doing it, it's specifically done on this third dimension because the possibility of finding the creator is possible on the third dimension. It's not possible on the fourth or fifth dimension. It's possible on the sixth, and it's possible on the ninth, and it's possible on the 12th. There's those threes again that Tesla always spoke about, right? Why should this surprise anybody? Of course it's an experiment. Whose experiment is the question? And because it's dealing with spiritual matter, psyches and souls, it means ultimately it's overseen by the creator and the benign forces in this universe. You should never allow yourself to fall into Gnostic depression. Never allow yourself to fall into archonic depression. It's horseshit. It's a failure to perceive. It's a failure to grow. And therefore, for me, the dark hypothesis is a coloring book. It's Netflix for kids. I will confess, there were some of those 3-hour conversations with John Edmonds at 2 a.m. that chilled me to my bones. Some of the things he told me. And those things I will not tell you. They were said in confidence, and I went, wow. I don't mean to titillate, but I don't think that I will share them tonight. My friend and yours, Robert Wiegand, was also acutely aware of this. Now, why did I want to talk about this tonight? Why do you think? Well, we're on the verge of being taken over by a cult of black-hatted people who claim to be representatives of the creator of this earth, who are going to guide us on how to live here. Not how to realize ourselves, how to live here, how to be a good slave here, how to make this a better place. The only utility of this incarnation is the discovery of self. Now, you're not going to get that. Some of you are not going to get that, and that's fine. You're not spiritually ripe yet. You haven't been banged around down here enough. You haven't gone through enough incarnations. It's not a privilege to be chosen to begin an awakening process. It's not a privilege. It's just the product of cycling out. Okay? And this system we're in, even though it was created by intelligences that fabricated these bodies, genetically fabricated. And who's into genetics? Well, we know the reptilians are master geneticists. I think the Nordics are master geneticists. I think the Palladians are very good geneticists. I think all of these advanced extraterrestrials, look, just look at what we do. Look at what we do on this planet and extend it out into the galaxy. Look at how we do experiments just on other species on this planet and on other human beings. Look at what the Nazis did in the concentration camps. And yes, that happened. My contesting is the 6 million people. Okay? But the internment of the Jews and the torture of some of them and the experimentation on some of them, especially twins, is absolutely true. Okay? Just look what we do here and ask yourself if it might be going on a grander scale in which we're not the experimenters, we're the experimented upon. And it just snaps into focus. Of course it's true. Live with it. It's not the end of the world. And it puts the whole Jewish supremacy in its proper perspective either. Were the rabbis given this commission by our genetic controllers? Maybe. Maybe. But if that's true, it'll tell you everything you need to know about the character of the beings that created these bodies. They don't own you. You are owned by God. You are a particulate of the divine. They don't own you, what you really are. And at the end of the day, you should kind of thank them for getting the opportunity to use this body and have an incarnation here. A lot of beings want to come to this planet and have incarnations in full consciousness of the fact that it is an experiment. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Well, that's about enough for tonight. I like the podcasts where I don't look at the clock once. I didn't even know if I had spoken for 30 minutes. I hit my mark, 56. So, I'm Bruce McDonald, and this has been the Talamanca Review. I'll think up a title for this.